to read a story to you today. It's Miss Rumphius. It's one of my favorite ones. I read it every year at this time. It's a kind of a long read, so I'm going to hold the words down in front of me and then turn the pictures toward you when I'm done reading the page. The Lupin Lady lives in a small house overlooking the sea, and in between the rocks around her house grow blue, purple, and rose-colored flowers. The Lupin Lady is little and old, but she was not always that way. I know. She was my great aunt, and she told me so. Once upon a time, she was a little girl named Alice, who lived in a city by the sea, and from her front stoop, she could see the wharves and the bristling masts of tall ships. Many years ago, her grandfather had come to America on a large sailing ship. And now he worked in the shop at the bottom of the house, making figureheads for the prows of ship and carving Indians made out of wood to put in front of cigar stores. Alice's grandfather was an artist, and he painted pictures too of sailing ships and places across the sea. When he was very busy, Alice helped him by putting in the skies. In the evening, Alice sat on her grandfather's knee and listened to his stories from faraway places. When he had finished, Alice would say, "When I grow up, I too will go to faraway places. And when I grow old, I too will live by the sea." "But that is all very well and good, little Alice," said her grandfather. "But there is a third thing you must do." "What is it?" asked Alice. "Well, you must do something to make the world more beautiful," said her grandfather. "All right," said Alice. But she didn't know what it could be. In the meantime, Alice got up, washed her face, ate her porridge for breakfast, went to school, and came home and did her homework. And pretty soon, she was grown up. Then my great aunt Alice set out to do the 3 things she had told her grandfather she was going to do. She left home and went to live in another city, far from the sea and the salt air. There she worked in a library, dusting books and keeping them from getting mixed up, and helping people find the ones they wanted. Some of the books told her about faraway places. They called her Miss Rumphius now. Sometimes she went to the conservatory in the middle of the park. And when she stepped inside on a wintry day, the warm, moist air wrapped itself around her, and the sweet smell of jasmine filled her nose. "This is almost like a tropical island," said Miss Rumphius, "but not quite." So Miss Rumphius went to a real tropical island where people kept cockatoos and monkeys as pets. She walked on long beaches, picking up beautiful shells. One day she met the Bapa Raja, the king of a fishing village. "You must be tired," he said. "Come into my house and rest." So Miss Rumphius went in and met Bapa Raja's wife. The Bapa Raja himself fetched a green coconut and cut a slice off the top so Miss Rumphius could drink the coconut water inside. Before she left, Bapa Raja gave her a beautiful mother-of-pearl shell on which he painted the bird of paradise and the words, "You will always remain in my heart." "You will always remain in mine too," said Miss Rumphius. climbed tall mountains where the snow never melted. She went through jungles and across deserts. She saw lions playing and kangaroos jumping, and everywhere she made friends she would never forget. And finally she came to the land of the lotus eaters, and there, getting off a camel, she hurt her back. "Oh, what a foolish thing to do," said Miss Rumphius. "Well, I certainly have seen faraway places. Maybe it's time to find my place by the sea." And that is what she did. From the porch of her new house, Miss Rumphius watched the sun come up, and she watched it cross the heavens and sparkle on the water, and she saw it set in glory in the evening. She started a little garden amongst the rocks that surrounded her house, and she planted a few flower seeds in the stony ground. Miss Rumphius was almost perfectly happy. "But there is still one thing I must do," she said. "I have to do something to make the world more beautiful." "But what?" "The world is pretty nice," she thought, looking out over the ocean. The next spring, Miss Rumphius was not very well. Her back was bothering her again, and she had to stay in the bed most of the time. Oh. The flowers she had planted the summer before had come up and bloomed, and in spite of that stony ground, she could see them from her bedroom window, blue, purple, and rose-colored. "Lupins," said Miss Rumphius with satisfaction. "I've always loved lupins best. I wish I could plant more seeds this summer so that I could still have more flowers next year." But she was not able to. After a hard winter, spring came. Oh, and Miss Rumphius was feeling better. She could walk again. And one afternoon she started to go up and over the hill where she had not been for a very long time. "I don't believe my eyes," she cried when she got to the top, for there on the other side of the hill was a large patch of blue, purple, and rose-colored lupins. "It was the wind," she said as she knelt in delight. "It was the wind that brought the seed from my garden here, and the birds must have helped." Then Miss Rumphius had a wonderful idea. She hurried home and she got out her seed catalogs, and she set off for the very best seed house for 5 bushels of seeds. All summer long, Miss Rumphius, her pockets full of seeds, wandered over the fields and headlands sowing lupins. She scattered them along the highways and down the country lanes, and she flung handfuls of them around the schoolhouse in the back of the church. She tossed them into the hollows along the stone walls. Her back didn't hurt anymore, and now the people called her, that crazy old lady. My great-aunt Alice, Miss Rumphius, was very old now, and her hair is very white. And every year, there are more and more lupins, and now they call her the Lupin Lady. Sometimes my friends come and stand with me outside her gate, curious to see the old lady who planted the fields of lupins. When she invites us in, they come slowly. They think she's the oldest woman in the world, and often she tells stories of faraway places. "When I grow up," I tell her, "I too will go to faraway places and come home to live by the sea." "Ah, that is very well, my little Alice," says my aunt. "But there's a third thing you must do." "What is it?" I ask. You must do something to make the world more beautiful. All right, I say. But I don't know what it is yet. What can it be? I love lupins too. And I grow them also in my garden. I have seeds that I buy and I sow them. They're not very big. Miss Rumphius, you know what a bushel is? A huge barrel. She got 5 bushels of lupins. Oh, they must have really thought she was crazy walking around throwing seeds around. Here's the size of them. They're not very big, but they're not tiny either. And when they sprout up, they grow these kinds of flowers and leaves. I can't wait to see the flowers when they come up and start blooming. And I love the leaves. A palmately compound leaf. It's a fun name. Well, thank you for listening to my story about the Lupin Lady. See you later.